Hello and welcome to this Level 4-5 digital storytelling publishing activity using Adobe Express, where we can create powerful curriculum content using the 5 E's: explore, express, exchange, evaluate and exhibit. For more on the 5 E's, head over to ccea.org.uk. For this video, I'm going to create an ebook, but you could do similar design edits for various project types. Whichever publishing project you decide on, just make sure that pupils are familiar with a variety of examples of what you want them to create. If your class is not familiar with Adobe Express, then please check out some of the lower level videos for more guided walkthroughs of the basics on Adobe Express. This video will be focusing on the skills necessary for levels 4 and 5. So let's create an ebook project. Head over to the plus in the top left corner and let's just search for ebook. Adobe have some fantastic templates that we can start from, but I'm very happy to start from scratch, and I'm just going to get straight into making my cover page for an ebook all about the senses. So I'll add in my photo from the media tab. I can upload from my own device if I want to. I can add in the text, change the color, change the font, change the alignment, change the positioning of it, resize it and scale it. Now I'm going to add in lots of different photos to emphasize each sense, and I'm just rotating and scaling as necessary. When it comes to cropping, I'm just grabbing the photos by the handles and dragging in and out as necessary to get the desired crop. Continue repeating these steps for all the images that you need. And remember, if you need to flip an image, for example, I need to do that with this hand, I have that option over on the left here. I can flip my images horizontally and vertically, and which gives me a lot more freedom with the images that I choose. So I can line that up really well now. Once you're happy with your cover page, it's time to start adding the inside pages. So head up to the Pages button, add in a new page, and then double tap it to start editing. I find it's really helpful to take inspiration from the cover design for an ebook, so I'll use a lot of the same fonts. So when I add in my text and I edit my font, I can choose fonts that are in use. Again, it's really helpful if you come to digital projects like this with your work already typed out in another document where you can copy and paste, or at the very least just copy from your handwritten notes. Now, if I'm doing lots of text boxes, I will duplicate the text box to keep the formatting all the same and then just edit the text inside it. By heading over to Elements and searching for an arrow, I can now enhance the labeling of this eye. So I'm just going to duplicate the arrow over and over, resize and position as necessary. Cropping the image into a shape is a really cool effect, so a circle might make more sense here for the eye, and I can actually see the text boxes a little easier. If I click and drag my mouse over all of the elements, I can now group these images and text boxes together. That makes it really easy to resize and scale everything proportionately, and it means that now that I can reposition my text and add a little caption. Next, I want to insert a bar chart, so head over to Elements and then at the very top scroll right the way over to the end to find Charts and choose your bar chart. I think these are fantastic, especially if I'm going to do a survey about eye colours in the class, and I can do a lot of edits here. I can change everything about this chart. I can change the labels, the values, I can change the colours of the bars as well, and then of course I can resize, stretch it out and position it wherever I would like. Add your finishing touches to this page, and before we create a new one, click the title, then tap the 3 dots and copy the title. When I add a new page, I'm now going to paste this title in and I can start making my changes from here. This is just a little shortcut for starting with the same consistent design for each page. Repeat the processes that we did for the first one, maybe switch up some of your design, add in some different layouts and different shapes, different images, different elements. Perhaps you could even consider a grid. So down the left hand side underneath the elements there we have grids. You have lots of different containers that you could choose from, so find one that you'll want to start with, and again you can reposition and resize this in many different ways. I'm going to put out a few different titles for what image I want to be in each one. So I want a sweet image in here, so click the first one, choose the replace option and then search for your desired item from the Adobe stock library. Copy and repeat that process over and over until you have filled your grid. That's looking really well. So for my next page, this time I'm going to tap the 3 dots and I'm going to duplicate this page. This is just another way to start from something rather than nothing, but I'm going to delete most of the page and now start adding in the elements that I want. I'm going to make use of that skill using the grids again, and once I'm happy I've got everything into my page, I'm going to think about how I could improve my ebook overall. So let's up level this now from a level 4 project into a level 5 project. First thing I want to do is start adding lots more color and textures into my work. So I'm going to start off with this image of an eye, and I'm going to actually crop it into the shape of a rectangle and drop the opacity a little bit. I'm going to do that for this one as well. Over on the nose, I'm going to choose a shape, drop the opacity and put it right into the background there. So fully explore your layers, and don't forget about all the different ways you can crop images, putting in different elements and rectangles behind things, changing the layout and positioning of items just to make it more interesting to look at is a really cool tip too. Another thing that you could consider is using the eyedropper tool to match the colours that are featuring in your page to the backgrounds. I also like putting background shapes behind my text and behind some of my images. For some of them as well, you could even look at dropping the opacity for background images. You could really focus in on the alignment tools, really spacing out your work evenly. Another thing that you can do is if you hold down the Shift key and click each text box, you can go up to a line and you can choose how to distribute your text boxes so they're really even. One other option that you have that we explored in the last video is looking at duotone and some opacity and blend modes. You've got a lot of buttons here on the left hand side, so click them, see what happens, experiment and have fun. Changing the opacity is a really good effect, especially if you're wanting to keep a good contrast between the background and your text and main objects in the foreground. Explore loads of different colours. You can do that of course with elements and icons and images. And then when you're finished and you're reviewing your work, it's time to start thinking about maybe inserting your own images. At this stage, the most obvious one for me is changing out the eye. So I can click the eye image and I can click upload from my device, find the image that you want. If you need to change any of the arrows around, do so. Go in and quickly add page numbers perhaps. And then another great skill for level 5 is making a list of references and adding in hyperlinks. So once you have all of your websites typed out and all of your references listed, you can now start to copy and paste the URLs and hyperlink every bit of text. We did this in the last video as well, so feel free to go back there and review this skill if you need it a bit slower. Now it's just time for personal design choices, so just improving the look of your work, adding in different shapes to the background of your text, adding in background colours, adding in icons for enhanced accessibility. And then what we want to start looking at now is how we can exhibit our work and start exchanging. Once we've renamed the file, you can download it as a video, you can download it as a PDF, as PNGs, you choose your file format and then download. And then you want to consider different ways that you could exchange. So in the share option, once you've typed in someone's username and their C2K address, you can give them edit options or comment options to collaborate with you and give you some feedback. For example, on this one, I have a little bit of feedback that I could action where I need to make my work a little bit more easy and noticeable, that I have hyperlinks. I could respond back to my teacher or back to my classmate, and then I could go and make those edits. Another really good tip to up level a piece of work is by adding in some audio. You can do this as a voiceover, where you can just start recording a voiceover as you speak out some of the words on your pages. And then you can also add in soundtracks. So there are a lot of royalty-free music and sound effects in Adobe for you already. You don't need to go anywhere else to find them. You can tap the play button to hear a sample of them. And if you really like a song after you've heard a sample of it, you just need to click the rest of that tile and it will add that track in for the length of either the length of the track or the length of your scene for your page. Explore the different volumes that you need to still be able to hear the audio of your voiceover, and then repeat that process for every page in your ebook. Lastly, we'll just download our work again, perhaps as a video this time now that we have some audio in it. And then what we might want to do is create a view only link. This link can then be put onto any digital learning environment, or it can be just pasted into a URL. I always like to do this just to test out what it looks like. So open up a new tab and paste in your view only link, and you'll see what anyone else will see if they open up your view only link. So now I can click through my ebook, and if I want to make any changes to my ebook, I would just go ahead and make changes and then republish that view only link so that people can still access the latest version. You can see all of my hyperlinks work here, which is fantastic. That's exactly what I want. I may also want to store and organize my work a little better. You can see here I have a lot of files and don't have very many folders, so let's create a new one for ebooks. And I plan on making quite a few ebooks, so perhaps I need a subfolder in here for the human body ebooks. All I need to do is drag my projects into each folder to save them. So that's us. We have really packed a lot into that ebook. So thank you so much for watching the video and have fun getting digitally creative.